साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्।
मंगलचरणा गजानना
मंगलचरणा गजानना
मंगलचरणा गजानना
मंगलचरणा गजानना
गजवदना शुभानना
गजवदना शुभानना
गजवदना शुभानना
गजवदना शुभानना
मंगलचरणा गजानना
मंगलचरणा गजानना
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
गौरीतनया गजानना
गौरीतनया गजानना
गौरीतनया गजानना
गौरीतनया गजानना
मंगलचरणा गजानना
मंगलचरणा गजानना
गजवदना शुभानना
गजवदना शुभानना
मंगलचरणा गजानना
मंगलचरणा गजानना
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
विद्यादायक बुद्धिप्रदायक
गौरीतनया गजानना
गौरीतनया गजानना
गौरीतनया गजानना
गौरीतनया गजानना
मंगलचरणा गजानना
साक्षात् परब्रह्म साई गुरुवंदना सत्य साई
साक्षात् परब्रह्म साई गुरुवंदना सत्य साई
साक्षात् परब्रह्म साई गुरुवंदना सत्य साई
साक्षात् परब्रह्म
गुरुपदरञ्जन गुरु परमेशा गुरुपदरञ्जन गुरु परमेशा गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु महेशा
गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु महेशा
गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु महेशा
ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु महेशा
सद्गुरु साई परतिपुरीशा
सद्गुरु साई परतिपुरीशा
सद्गुरु साई परतिपुरीशा
सद्गुरु साई परतिपुरीशा
शरण नमोस्तुते साई महेशा
शरण नमोस्तुते साई महेशा
शरण नमोस्तुते साई महेशा
शरण नमोस्तुते साई महेशा
साक्षात् परब्रह्म साई गुरुवन्दना सत्य साई
साक्षात् परब्रह्म साई गुरुवन्दना सत्य साई
गुरुपदरञ्जन गुरु परमेशा
गुरुपदरञ्जन गुरु परमेशा
गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु महेशा
गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु महेशा
सद्गुरु साई परतिपुरीशा
सद्गुरु साई परतिपुरीशा
शरण नमोस्तुते साई महेशा
शरण नमोस्तुते साई महेशा
शरण नमोस्तुते साई महेशा
शरण नमोस्तुते साई महेशा
साक्षात् परब्रह्म साई गुरुवन्दना सत्य साई माता भवानी जगदम्बे
माता भवानी जगदम्बे
माता भवानी जगदम्बे
माता भवानी जगदम्बे
ओ माँ ओ माँ माता भवानी जगदम्बे
माता भवानी जगदम्बे
शक्ति प्रदायिनी आनन्दरूपिणी
शक्ति प्रदायिनी आनन्दरूपिणी
शक्ति प्रदायिनी आनन्दरूपिणी
शक्ति प्रदायिनी आनन्दरूपिणी
कात्यायनी करुणा सदनी
कात्यायनी करुणा सदनी
कात्यायनी करुणा सदनी ओमा जगदम्बे माता भवानी जगदम्बे ओमा 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 माता भवानी जगदम्बे शक्ति प्रदायिनी आनंद रूपिणी शक्ति प्रदायिनी आनंद रूपिणी कात्यायनी करुणा सदनी कात्यायनी करुणा सदनी ओमा ओमा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे,
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे,
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे।
सर्वधर्म स्वरूपा साई,
सर्वधर्म स्वरूपा साई,
सर्वधर्म स्वरूपा साई,
सर्वधर्म स्वरूपा साई,
परती के अवतारा,
परती के अवतारा,
परती के अवतारा,
परती के अवतारा,
मेरे बाबा मेरे साई,
मेरे बाबा मेरे साई,
मेरे बाबा मेरे साई,
मेरे बाबा मेरे साई,
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम,
साई राम साई राम साई राम, साई राम,
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम
साई राम साई राम, साई राम, साई राम,
हिंदू मुस्लिम ईसाई आते हैं तेरे द्वारे,
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 मिलते हैं तेरे द्वारे,
मिलते हैं तेरे द्वारे,
मिलते हैं तेरे द्वारे,
मिलते हैं तेरे द्वारे,
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम,
साई राम साई राम साई राम, साई राम,
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम
साई राम साई राम, साई राम,
सर्वधर्म स्वरूपा साई,
सर्वधर्म स्वरूपा साई,
परती के अवतारा,
परती के अवतारा,
मेरे बाबा मेरे साई,
मेरे बाबा मेरे साई,
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम,
साई राम साई राम साई राम,
हिंदू मुस्लिम ईसाई आते हैं तेरे द्वारे,
हिंदू मुस्लिम ईसाई आते हैं तेरे द्वारे,
मिलते हैं तेरे द्वारे,
मिलते हैं तेरे द्वारे,
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम,
साई राम साई राम साई राम, साई राम,
साई राम साई राम साईराम साईराम
साईराम साईराम साईराम
सर्वधर्म स्वरूपा साई।
हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा।
दीनबन्धु साईनाथा, करुणा सिंधु जगन्नाथा,
दीनबन्धु साईनाथा, करुणा सिंधु जगन्नाथा,
दीनबन्धु साईनाथा, करुणा सिंधु जगन्नाथा,
दीनबन्धु साईनाथा, करुणा सिंधु जगन्नाथा।
हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
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 हे शिरडी जगन्नाथा, हे परती जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे शिरडी जगन्नाथा, हे परती जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे शिरडी जगन्नाथा, हे परती जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे शिरडी जगन्नाथा, हे परती जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा।
दीनबन्धु साईनाथा, करुणा सिंधु जगन्नाथा,
दीनबन्धु साईनाथा, करुणा सिंधु जगन्नाथा,
हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे शिरडी जगन्नाथा, हे परती जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे शिरडी जगन्नाथा, हे परती जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे शिरडी जगन्नाथा, हे परती जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे शिरडी जगन्नाथा, हे परती जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा,
हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा, हे साई जगन्नाथा। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की,
राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो
बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीमा
बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीमा
वायु कुमारा बल भीमा वानर वीरा 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 बल भीमा
बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीमा
बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीमा
परति पुरीशा साई रामा पावन पुरुषा साई रामा
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 साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई रामा
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई रामा
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई रामा
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई रामा
राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की
राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की
अंजनी पुत्र बल भीमा आंजनेय बल भीमा
अंजनी पुत्र बल भीमा आंजनेय बल भीमा
बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीमा
बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीमा
वायु कुमारा बल भीमा वानर वीरा बल भीमा
वायु कुमारा बल भीमा वानर वीरा बल भीमा
बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीमा
बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीम बल भीमा
परति पुरीशा साई रामा पावन पुरुषा साई रामा
परति पुरीशा साई रामा पावन पुरुषा साई रामा
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई रामा
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई रामा
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई रामा
साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई राम साई रामा
राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की
गंगाधरा हर गंगाधरा हर कैलासनाथ प्रभु शंकरा
गंगाधरा हर गंगाधरा हर कैलासनाथ प्रभु शंकरा
गंगाधरा हर गंगाधरा हर कैलासनाथ प्रभु शंकरा
गंगाधरा हर कैलासनाथ प्रभु शंकरा
भवनाशा भवबन्ध विमोचन
भवनाशा भवबन्ध विमोचन
भवनाशा भवबन्ध विमोचन
भवनाशा भवबन्ध विमोचन
सत्य साई शिव शंकरा
साई शिव शंकरा
सत्य साई शिव शंकरा
साई शिव शंकरा
गंगाधरा हर गंगाधरा हर कैलासनाथ प्रभु शंकरा
गंगाधरा हर गंगाधरा हर कैलासनाथ प्रभु शंकरा
भवनाशा भवबन्ध विमोचन
भवनाशा भवबन्ध विमोचन
सत्य साई शिव शंकरा
साई शिव शंकरा
सत्य साई शिव शंकरा
साई शिव शंकरा
गंगाधरा हर कैलासनाथ प्रभु शंकरा
गंगाधरा हर गंगाधरा हर कैलासनाथ प्रभु शंकरा
भवनाशा भवबन्ध विमोचन
भवनाशा भवबन्ध विमोचन
सत्य साई शिव शंकरा
साई शिव शंकरा
सत्य साई शिव शंकरा
साई शिव शंकरा
विश्वनाथ प्रभु शंकरा।
पिबरे रामरसं रसने पिबरे रामरसं 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 जनन मरण भय शोक विदूरं जनन मरण भय शोक विदूरं जनन मरण भय शोक विदूरं शोक विदूरं सकल शास्त्र निगमागम सारं सकल शास्त्र निगमागम सारं सकल शास्त्र निगमागम सारं सकल शास्त्र निगमागम सारं पिबरे रामरसं रसने पिबरे रामरसं पिबरे रामरसं
Sairam, Mr. William Miller, and a warm welcome to the studios of Radio Sai.
Thank you, Sairam.
So Christmas is round the corner, and this 9-lettered word, Christmas, in Prasanthi is very special. And every Christmas season, if you have heard Bhagwan's discourses, he always came out with something new, something fresh about the life of Jesus, a new perspective on his teaching. So even as you celebrated people of all lands, all languages, all regions, celebrating Christmas in a spirit of universal unity, you also got a very universal message, a universal perspective of Bhagwan's teachings. And one thing that I remember, which Bhagwan narrated very often when he was talking about the life of Jesus, is this progression in his life, in his spiritual evolution from being a messenger to being a son of God, and then saying that I and my Father are one. You are someone who has spent so much time dwelling on Bhagwan's messages on Christmas. You brought out that beautiful book, Be Like Jesus, that has a very beautiful compilation of everything that Swami has said, what to do on Christmas, and about the life of Jesus and his teachings. So may I ask you, what is your perspective? What are your insights on this message of Bhagwan, on the progression of the life of Christ?
Let me just first say that Christmas has always been one of my favorite times here in Prasanthi Nilayam. I first came here in 1982.
Okay.
And in Christmases that I was able to spend over the years, always was so admiring of the fact, like you said, it's a different experience here. And to see people from all faiths come together to celebrate Christmas was always such an inspiration to me. And I always look forward to what new revelation Swami would give about the teachings of Jesus, about the life of Jesus. And one that really stands out from what you were just saying was when Jesus was talking about the 3 wise men who came to Jesus at the birth, when he was in the manger, in the stable. And this is what Baba had to say. He says, when Jesus was born, 3 Arabian kings came to see him. The first king said to Mary, "Mother, you have given birth to a child who loves God."
Yes.
The second said, "Mother, you have given birth to a child who will be loved by God."
Yes.
The third king said, "Mother Mary, your child is not different from God. Both are one and the same." The first one statement, Baba says, indicated Jesus' role as a messenger of God. The second one statement indicated he would be the Son of God. The third one statement indicated that the child would one day declare, "I and my Father are one." And he goes on to say that this is not only the progression of Jesus, but the progression that all of us go through in our spiritual development.
This is the story of every individual on the spiritual path.
All of us go through this. Another time he would say this is like the evolution from experiencing that I am in the light, then the light is in me, and then I am the light.
Wow.
And so with Jesus, early in his life, he spent so much time teaching in the temples. And sometimes they would throw him out and chase him away, but he always stuck to what was the message that he felt he was to deliver about compassion, about mercy, about treating the poor well. And he always looked to see if he could heal people. He was in a ministry. He was really there to serve. And that really is what Swami says is the essence of being the messenger. It's not just preaching words like a messenger delivering a sermon.
Living that life.
Living what you're talking about.
Living that message.
Yes. And in terms of being a messenger of God, Jesus would say, he says, "I do nothing of myself, like by my own authority, but I say exactly what my Father has taught me. I'm doing my Father's work. I'm here."
You just become only a channel.
A channel, exactly. And that when he would preach giving riches to the poor, and he would minister to the poor and teach the Beatitudes to the poor, he was giving us a model of what we need to do in our own life. That if you're a messenger of God like we all are, how do we, for example, go feed the hungry? How do we operate our businesses in a way that is in the sense of being an embodiment of truth and of love and compassion and nonviolence and these kinds of values?
Is this really practical? What do you think? You are someone who's also a business consultant.
Yes.
Who've been advising a lot of business houses about trying to live these teachings in real life. But how easy or difficult it is? I mean, have you seen really people trying to be messengers of God even as they are business leaders?
Absolutely. I'll give you one example. A man named Lars Koland was hired to turn around a company in Europe that was making hearing aids that was failing. And he was raised with the message of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Love your neighbor as yourself, Jesus' teachings. He came to the point where he had to realize he had to begin laying off people to have the company survive. Well, laying off people is a very difficult challenge. But what he did, he said, first of all, in my country, people over the age of 50, if they lose their job, they'll never get another job. Very difficult. So the first thing I did was to make sure that anyone over 50 would stay with the company. And that I would actually even encourage those who most easily could get another job, let them go. Now, everyone thought he was crazy because that means he was losing some of his best talent.
Yes.
And yet he said, what guided me was the principle of love your neighbor and do to others as you would have them do to you. What he found was that when the people that were left, the first people who left, all left on friendship terms. He talked to each one of them. They congratulated him on how he was handling it. And then with the ones that left, they were so filled with the Spirit the spirit that this man cares for us and cares for us and our families. They rose to the occasion, and with creating a new vision for the company rose from the ashes and became one of the top 2 companies of the world in their industry.
Oh, wow.
This is the example of someone
Even
who,
though they were over 50, they would have contributed as if they were 30 or 40 with more enthusiasm.
Exactly. This is how contagious living righteously can be. And this is what being a messenger of God is. It's not just words, it's not just preaching, it's actually living it in your daily actions and doing things that may seem difficult, impossible, but you know by your conscience it's the right thing to do.
Wow.
Now, you go on to where Jesus evolved to be the Son of God. Now, what is the Son of God? You know, the messenger is like the servant to the master. They're not related. The Son of God is related, they're family. The Son of God means you realize that you have the same DNA
Yes.
as God, okay? That in some level you're not different.
You're not different.
You know, and that Jesus would go out and he would say to people who would say, well, teach us to pray. And he would say, pray this way, our Father. Pray as sons of God, because you are sons of God just like I am. We are all in the DNA of God. And he would say, I pray to the Father, but you also pray to the Father, because it is your Father just as much as my Father. We are all children of God, which means, as Baba would say, we have a divine inheritance that is due to us.
Yes.
What is that divine inheritance? It is God's love, it is God's mercy, it is God's peace, it is God's compassion, and that we have to claim that inheritance by imbibing it in ourselves.
Wow. I mean, this is really beautiful. I'm really tempted to ask you
Yes.
if you can again narrate some instance which you have seen in real life where people are living like sons of God. Very beautifully you explain that it starts with you thinking that you're different from God, you are a servant, so you are different from the master. And when you say you are son, you're connected, intrinsically connected with the Father. And Bhagwan used to say, if you say that someone is a son of a father, then you would find some trait of the Father in the son. Maybe his nose will be like that, maybe his walk will be like that,
Yes.
maybe his smile would be like that of the mother or the father. So you have some traits of the parent. But yes, so in some ways your life is divine. It has some divine attributes.
Yes.
But you give a very beautiful example of in the business world of how this is possible. You can be a messenger of God while you do your business. So anything comes to your mind about how to be a son of God? Can we be a son of God in this world where there is so much of restlessness and there is so much of strife, and it's not so easy to really practice the kind of opposition that Jesus got when he tried to be a son of God?
It was true. He got a lot of opposition. And, at one point he was being accused by people of blasphemy because he declared, I'm the Son of God. He actually called himself the Son of Man primarily. But in the last moments when the priest said, are you the Son of God? And he says, you've stated the fact.
Oh, wow.
But, he also said, but it says in your scriptures, you are God's. He says, if your own scripture says you are God's, then why do you blame me for saying I am also Son of God? But I think another aspect of this is not just seeing the Father and being the Son and the Father, but seeing each other as brothers and sisters. And I think a beautiful example of all of this together is Mother Teresa.
Yes.
Because what stands out for me just in one little story I heard was someone asked her, how can you pick up a man who's in the gutter, who's half dead, dirty, perhaps even naked, diseased? How can you do that with such a smile on your face? And she says, it's easy. I see this person as Jesus in his most distressing disguise.
Oh, wow.
So this is seeing the divinity in each other as well. And I'd like to read something that she says also about going to heaven with all of this. She says, we all long for heaven where God is. But we have it in our power to be in heaven with him at this very moment. But being happy with him now means loving as he loves, helping as he helps, giving as he gives, serving as he serves, rescuing as he rescues, being with him 24 hours, touching him in his distressing disguise.
Beautiful.
That's a perfect example that if we see each other as Jesus.
Yes. And then you don't judge. As Mother Teresa also
Yes.
very beautifully said that, if you begin to judge people, you'll have no time to love them.
Yes, exactly. So I would say that's one of the things that we see is to how do we see each other as brothers and sisters in God? Then we naturally have that relationship with God, which is what God wants, which is treat all of my children.
Yes.
Don't just focus on me. Look at your brothers and sisters.
In fact, I remember that anecdote from, again, Mother Teresa's life when she's picking up this person from the gutter and someone says, I will not do it for $1 million. Oh my God, how do you do it? And she says, even I would not do it for $1 million.
Right.
I do it because it is Jesus.
Yes, exactly. And the same thing can happen in the way we deal with a customer.
Yes.
If a customer calls and is very angry, for example, because some service was not being given to him properly or some quality was poor, how do we treat them as this is Jesus calling?
Oh, wow.
How do I handle my job if I'm trying to sell something to someone? How do I not just try to see what I can get from that person, but how can I truly be of service to them by what we offer? I know in our business we say, if we discover that we cannot be the best provider, we will try to find a company, a better provider than us.
Oh, wow.
If we're not the best that can serve them, we'll try to help them find someone who's better to serve them, to serve their needs. That is our duty. Our duty is to serve that person to get the best that they can get. And so these are the simple ways that we can actually take this into our daily life in terms of claiming that inheritance, which is when we develop the love and compassion and truthfulness and transparency in ourselves, we are claiming the inheritance of being God.
Wow. I remember Rabindranath Tagore very beautifully said, if you want to do good, you knock at the door. But if you love, you find the gates open.
Yes. Good. I love it.
I think
I love that.
That is something profound because, again, it cannot be perhaps explained by logic because, it doesn't make business sense if you go and tell your client that, what you want, we don't have it, so we'll ask someone else to do it for you. It flies on the face of good marketing and good business development. But I think if you're coming from a space of love, there is something that will work, which perhaps is beyond business logic.
Actually, I would say that doing what we do is actually the true business logic. Because what happens, you build trust.
Yes.
What is the essence of good marketing? Building trust.
Trust.
What is the essence of good business? Building trust with your employees, with your customers, and so on. That's where loyalty comes from.
Yes.
And so anything you can do to build yourself as trustworthy and demonstrate your trustworthiness is good business.
It's good business.
Absolutely.
There could be a short-term fall, but that is what will hold you in good stead.
Exactly. And we all know how many companies go out of business in the short-term fall. So,
Yes.
But the thing is, this is what sustains business for the long term.
Wow.
This is what builds a long-term business. So
Fantastic.
now let's look at the third. When Jesus declared, I and my Father are one. And he said further, he says, I am in my Father and my Father is in me. We are one.
Yes.
But he even went even further, and this is what we have to pay attention to. Jesus said, when you follow my teachings, you will come to know for yourself that I'm in the Father and you are in me and I am in you.
Wow.
So in other words, there's not a distinction between me, you, and Father. We're
Yes.
all together. We're all one. And we can discover that for ourselves. Now, this is where, when he was teaching you even your own scriptures in the Old Testament to the Jews, you were God's. This
Yes.
starts to reflect a bit of that teaching. I remember a friend of mine in the USA. She talked about what it meant to live this way herself. She says, I would volunteer at a home for the elderly. And sometimes those are difficult situations. People are sick, they're maybe not in the right mind and so on. She says, but as long as I held it, this is God serving God. This is God serving God. then that work became easy.
What became easy?
You know, and my wife and I, we had an interesting evolution in our understanding of marriage. Before we got married, we realized that most of the marriage ceremonies in the world that we know start with the premise of the two shall become one. And we said, okay, well that's the normal way of thinking about it. But in a sense, what Swami and Jesus is teaching is that is just the opposite. That there's a oneness that precedes our individuality. There's a oneness in God that precedes. So marriage is really an experience of oneness having expressed itself as two. Not two becoming one. The one is the starting point, and we happen to be a male and female. Expressions of that oneness. It's a whole different premise for
it's
marriage.
the whole process only becoming one with Him.
Yeah. See, in other words, it's like Swami says, it's not that we are humans striving to become divine.
Yes.
He says it's actually the opposite. We are divine beings having a human experience. So we don't have to strive to become divine. We are already divine. But we have to bring our consciousness to that experience of that truth. And so as a marriage, when we operate that we are oneness expressing as two people in this marriage.
And you start with that premise that we are one.
Yes, exactly. It's a much stronger foundation for our differences, so that one time, if we have differences of opinions, sometimes we can step back and laugh and says, oh, oneness is really expressing us too, given our different opinions on this. And yet it holds that difference in a bigger container.
And this works so beautifully in every environment.
Yes.
Anywhere there is a difference, if you first begin with the premise that we are actually one in an office, there could be 15 people working.
Yes.
And you begin with the notion that we are one. Then you start working towards how to reach there.
Exactly.
Instead of thinking, oh, we are 15 people, we have different ideas and it's not going to work out. It's going to be a very difficult, because the premise itself is that we are different.
Right. There's another experience, just personal to share. My wife and I have done work with the United Nations Habitat on bringing human values into the mega water and sanitation projects in developing countries, and developing a program for developing stronger human values for that. And we would go into different countries, and we'd be coached that, okay, in your audience for the next of the 30 people, already 2 people have accepted their bribes.
Oh.
You know, there's corruption here. You know, now how do we hold that if we're going to speak about human values? One of the things is to realize that if we're all divine, then even those people have divinity, the spark of divinity in them. They may have become not even believing in their own potential. They may have started becoming more individualistic and feel like I have to just look out for myself and things like this. But all of that is just the smoke that covers the truth. And so we had to be able to speak to the truth of who people are, whether or not they themselves could see it. And when you can see everyone as divine when you're speaking, even if some of them are corrupt, it changes your heart and it changes your whole approach to the situation.
And it changes the whole situation too.
Yeah.
When you approach the situation in a new light, the situation itself changes into a new light.
Yeah. It's like we experienced stories where people who were not diligent in their quality, when others held them in a light of, we trust you to do good quality, they would often rise to the occasion. Now this may sound naive, and yet, and you have to be diligent, you have to be vigilant. At the same time, it works. You know, people will rise when you believe in them. Often it's you believe in them more than they believe in themselves, and they're having to go through a process of learning to trust life again. And that is where your compassion comes. This is where, in a sense, again, we've earned that inheritance of the consciousness of God. And so, you know, there's another story I just want to share in politics. There's a man who, during the 50s and 60s, lived in one of the countries behind the Iron Curtain in the Soviet Union. And his country was Czechoslovakia. And when they had their springtime rising in the late 60s, it got squashed by the military from Russia and things like this. And he was eventually put into prison. And when he was put into prison, he was for 10 years for being an agitator. And he looked out his prison wall and he saw a tree, and it spawned a whole thought process, an awareness, a realization, an insight. And what he said was that he realized that everything in life shared the same beingness. Beingness. You know, that we're all part of one being.
One being.
And that what was happening, the people had lost touch with that, had lost faith with that, and in a sense had gotten more self-aggrandizing, greedy and things like this, self-interested, and they lost faith.
Yes.
And that his job was to help reestablish that sense of the spiritual resurgence.
Yes.
When he got out of prison, there was the fall of the Iron Curtain. He was elected as the first president of Czechoslovakia.
Oh.
And then when the Czech and the Slovakia Republic split, he became the first president of the Czech Republic. Very revered. And he said, you know, for us politically in the world, if we're going to reestablish or establish a sense of unity, it has to come from a spiritual revolution. And that revolution is around knowing the being of God and knowing that being of God in all of us.
Wow.
And that again comes from the way we can live what Jesus lived and what he declared is I and the Father are one. And I'm in the Father and you're in me and I'm in you. And we are all this oneness. And as we establish that, then we've completed that sense of that journey of consciousness from I am in the light is in me, I am the light.
Wow. Amazing. In fact, I'm just reminded also of how Bhagwan used to mention about Hanuman and say when Rama asked Hanuman once what he thinks about his relationship with Rama, he says that, you know, at the level of the body, I am your servant, but at the level of the mind, then I am just that part of you which is love. But at the level of the Atma, I am not different from you.
Right.
And you know, when he says that, you have Rama embracing Hanuman. So that is, again, when you think about it, very beautifully you said this is the journey of every spiritual aspirant, and you can actually draw a parallel to the Bhakti Marga, Karma Marga and the Jnana Marga. See, when you are the messenger of the Lord, you are trying to live his message. It's something like following the path of the Karma Marga. And then when you're at the Bhakti Marga, you know, you are so much in love with God that you almost, you know, you can feel that connect with the Lord. It's in the Bhakti Marga, the stage of devotion. And then finally the realization comes, you know, when you're deep in devotion, finally you reach the stage of Jnana Marga, where you know that you are not different. You're not praying to somebody outside of you. Everything is only inside. That light, that star of Christmas, the symbol of Christmas, that light is actually in the heaven within. And that is the enlightening that the Lord wants to happen in every Christmas and in fact every moment of our lives, isn't it?
I'd like to add one thing to what you were saying, and that is that when you're in that role of serving, that is how love blossoms.
Yes.
So in since the path of action, that is where the path of devotion arises. And when the path of devotion matures, it matures in a sense of pure divine love. And that is what creates the wisdom.
Yes.
See, the wisdom, the jnana, is not about mental.
No.
It's not about mental understanding.
No.
It only actually happens, the wisdom only happens when you've matured in love.
Absolutely.
So love is the source of the wisdom itself.
Yes.
That is why
you practice love,
Yeah.
you know about love, you practice love, and you become love.
And you become love. And in becoming love, then your wisdom has blossomed. You know?
Absolutely.
And so this is why, you know, Swami has once said, he says, God has no attributes and only one quality. That
Yes.
quality is love.
Wow.
And why the sense of Jesus' teachings, this is, you know, when asked, what is the greatest commandment? He says, love God with your whole heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. A new commandment I give you, love one another. Love is the essence of Jesus' teachings, because that is where the full emergence actually blossoms.
And that is what Bhagwan also shared all 86 years of his life. If there is one word to describe all his teachings, every Christmas discourse or any discourse, it ended with love is God, live in love.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
Santa Vinayaka Savita Pavaka निर्भय आत्मलिंग शिवतु आत्मलिंग शिवतु आत्मलिंग शिवतु
ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका आपदान्धवा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे मातपिता गुरुदैवमु मरियन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मरियन्तयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्रशयन ॐ जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल आरती अंधुको मंगल आरती अंधुको मंदर गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति 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 जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।